and welcome back to episode 8 of the Almost There podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Alicia Long, here with...
the other host, Dan Brennan. How are you, Alicia?
I'm well. I'm really proud of myself that I did that. That I just did that intro. I don't know. I don't know if I've done any yet.
Let's
but
wait
I felt
till
I felt very scared.
Oh, did you really? Let's wait till the feedback comes back.
Yeah.
I thought you did that. I was just thinking in my head, that's probably the most professional intro. You said the name of the podcast. You said the episode number.
I got it.
And you got your name
in.
right and through to me in a beautiful fashion.
Yes.
I will call that a victory on your behalf.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyways, where you been, Dan?
Oh, speaking of victories, it turns out I am a real man. I had to do something very manly, and
For the first time ever?
I don't know. That's a great question. I don't think so. Not at the roadside, anyways.
Okay,
Allow
okay.
me to explain.
Yes, anyways.
I was at because of the day job, this massive conference at Exhibition Place, and the football's obviously on. The Euros are on at the moment. So I went with a couple of people from the conference to watch Spain versus Italy at a great bar in Liberty Village.
Ooh, nice.
Right?
What bar? Do you remember?
Yeah, it was called Local. It's
nice.
like the main one there.
Yeah,
the other option was Left Field Brewery. But to be honest with you, they had the air conditioning way too high. I'm like, no, let's not go here. It's freezing in there. So, yeah. But anyway, so I left there on my way to Shelburne, Ontario, the producer of the show in Shelburne, which for those of you who don't know is way north on Highway 10. It's about, in my mind, 2 kilometers from the Arctic Circle. That's how far north it is.
Sounds like it's like in Quebec or something.
Yes, but no, it's Shelburne,
away.
Ontario. It's like at the top of Highway 10 before you have to start making decisions about going to Sudbury or head back. So the producer, because of a family emergency, couldn't get there, and he's like, "Can you get there by 7:15 and take tickets and do all that? I'll pay you extra." And I'm like, "Yeah, fine, happy to help." But then the traffic was terrible.
Oh no!
And my phone died, and I'm like, I got a good enough mental picture. Like, this is Canada, right? The roads go straight, and then they go left, and then they go right. There's not a lot of windy nonsense out in the country.
You're old
right?
enough that at one point in time you actually had to use maps.
Absolutely.
To get places.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you didn't just have GPS.
Yeah, and you would like...
Sorry to call you out like that.
no, you'd write down how many kilometers it was between directions and then use your odometer to make sure that you were on track. But yeah, so it's basically straight up Highway 10 and then left on some road that I don't remember the name of. And so just outside of town, I start to hear this sound. Like, I'm wait a minute, there's something wrong with the car. And no sooner had I noticed that there's something wrong with the car than an OPP SUV pulls in behind me. And he's uncomfortably close to my bumper, but he's not putting his lights on or anything. So I pulled into the first plaza and I get out of the car. And like the whole time, as soon as that OPP dropped in behind me, I was like, I'm dragging a body. I'm dragging a body. This literally went through my head. I'm dragging a body, and every 10 meters is an extra year in jail. That's why.
Were you just like dripping sweat?
Absolutely. And like, I'm running late. I haven't even, like, I'm getting there at 7:45, not 7:15.
Yeah, shit.
And so I pull in, the guy goes, "You're back, Chaz." Well, thanks. And I started hinting at him. I'm like, "Oh, I'm in town to host a comedy show. You heard of the Duffy? You know where the Duffy is? Is it far? Like, could a guy like me walk there from here? Or are you going that way? Are you?" No.
I did just hurt my leg the other day.
Yeah, exactly. Start doing old man stretches. Yeah, I did. Yeah, it just did not bite. I ended up having to get a cab, which is literally just a guy sitting in his armchair waiting for the phone to ring. Yeah. And he shows up in like a 2020 Toyota Corolla and charges you a fortune to go 20 feet. But we went and we did the show. We had a great show. We got to work with Casey Corbin and Peter Saran and someone else whose name I forget, Jeevan Gill. How could I forget him? Lovely guy. And everyone really killed it. It was a great show, and the owner wants to do it again, so that was all a success.
Nice.
But now I got a flat tire. It's 11 o'clock. I'm walking back to my car. I'm like, if there's not a spare in the trunk, I don't know what a human being does at that point. You just give up. You set the car on fire, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would
just
lay
take
down
your personal stuff
in the
and go.
somewhere.
So luckily enough, there was a spare tire, and this is where the manliness comes in. I changed the tire in the parking lot of a Dollarama in Shelburne, Ontario.
First of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
I have 2 follow-up questions.
Okay.
1, how long did it take?
Yep.
Did you have to watch a YouTube video?
No, I didn't. I knew how to change a tire. You loosen the nuts, you raise it up, you make sure, this is the real key, you make sure that the jack's on the frame and not the bodywork. The amount of people who end up putting it on the bodywork, it's not designed to hold your car up, right? The biggest problem, I think I did it in an efficient fashion, and I've now had to do it 3 times since, because I put the spare on, I tried to fix the tire. We'll get to that. But yeah, so the hardest part was I couldn't get the jack to go down. It was in the upright, it was erect in the upright position, and I couldn't get it down, so I couldn't get it under the car. And I'm like, is it broken? I've twisted it forever, and then finally, I don't know what happened. It just started to work. So that was the hardest part of the excursion. But now, like, I had to change it today, because I tried to fix the tire yesterday by putting in that foam stuff, and I drove out of my parents' house because it was my mom's birthday yesterday, and I drove out of my parents' house, and I stopped. I'm stopped at the gas station. I'm like, I'll check if I need air, and I could see it was already down, so I started filling it with air, and I'm like, oh, I'll get another one of those foam things. I started filling it with air, and it's like I'm going like this, and I could hear from a couple other spots on the tire. I'm like, no, this thing's a bloody shower head now. So I had to stick the spare tire back on so that I could get to our undisclosed location here in the brighter, sunnier Toronto.
Yes.
Yeah. So I need to buy a tire. If anybody knows where you can get a cheap used tire, I'm in.
We can hook you up.
That's fine. Alicia, where have you been?
Well, it's officially the summer season now, and I've been engaging in some of my favorite activity, which is summer street festivals.
Oh, nice.
First a few weeks ago at Dundas West Fest.
Right here in the big Toronto?
Here in Toronto, which was awesome. I actually just went mostly to go shopping, and then ended up being there pretty much all day. Because there were just so many cool things happening, like so many bands I stopped by, and so many DJs. There were some corners that were like competing acts on every single street corner.
I love that.
Like,
I love that. I love that when you walk.
Stand in the middle of it and do like a Sound of Music twirl.
That's one of the great things about New Orleans is you just walk through this cacophony of sound, you know.
Yeah.
Every 5-10 feet it changes.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
So much fun. And there was like, it's like my favorite thing about Toronto, just in general. Not only is it one of my favorite street festivals, it's just one of my favorite things about Toronto.
Yeah.
But it's like feels like everybody in the city is there. Takes a minute to go walk down at Dundas West Fest.
I don't know if everybody in the city's there. There's probably people on the Danforth going, why would we leave the Danforth? We're just staying here.
No, last year when I went, I think I saw everybody I knew, but I ran away from most of them and did not engage.
And this year?
Only one, I think.
Did you run from?
And then at least one other person I recognized but did not remember the name of, so scooted on by.
Right.
But yeah, I actually ran into a really old friend of mine. That was nice.
Yeah, beautiful. That's
and
great.
then, speaking of Sound of Music twirls, I also went to the Sound of Music Festival in Burlington.
Oh, Spencer Smith Park.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which I think that was the first time I've ever been, as an adult, during the day, not wasted. So it was a very, very different experience for me.
It sucked is what you're saying.
No, it was a lot of fun, actually. And so they've kind of changed it up the last few years, where it's always been free growing up. It was like, for those who don't know, it's like Burlington has like a beautiful waterfront.
Yep, Spencer Smith Park.
And so every year we'd have this free music festival where they like shut down pretty much the whole downtown. They have a bunch of stages up, and they sometimes would get like really good acts. Like they
usually have a pretty good headliner for the Saturday night.
Yeah. But then like maybe 5 years ago, they started doing a ticketed weekend and then a non-ticketed week, and then a still like free weekend.
Right.
Where they would get like really big bands. Like I think the first year they got like Weezer or something like that. So I feel like people are a bit more divided on Sound of Music than they used to be.
Right.
And I didn't even hear about it this year until I like looked up the lineup. I was like, is that even happening? Have they even announced the lineup?
Yeah, I didn't know until it was the weekend, which is good because you don't want to be trying to drive downtown Burlington during that.
Yeah. But so I wasn't really planning on going, but then I was staying at my brother and sister-in-law's place, and we were like, let's just go down and walk and see. And first we encountered the fire guy who we remembered encountering last year.
Right.
We had been all together down there.
Particularly cute firefighter that you have your eye on? No.
No. He's a street performer who does fire shit. But we were like, we were all kind of like laughing and like, haha, so corny. Remember him from last year?
Yeah,
and then we were like, well, like, let's stop and like watch. Then like, didn't we look dumb because he was so funny and like so awesome. We were like, why were we must not have actually been able to hear what he was saying last year because the whole show was so good.
Right. Funny,
like he got jokes, Dan. Sorry.
He's got jokes?
Yeah.
If
he actually reminded me a bit of you.
The fire.
I actually
That's
feel
cool.
like
you gotta have a bit of shtick, don't you?
Yes.
You gotta have a bit of shtick.
Yes. Yeah. And then so after we watched his entire show and like laughed the hardest of anyone there, I think, which isn't a surprise. That's
that
usually
comes
my
with the
jam.
territory. Yeah.
So we walked on down to like, they usually have a country stage. So we walked down there and just sat down for a bit. We caught the end of one act and the beginning of another.
Right.
And they were both really good. I felt stupid. I was kind of like crapping on the lineup because I was like, I haven't heard any of these people.
Right.
But they were both great. And I was like, of course they got
Do you remember
musicians.
the names?
One was called Willie Strand, I think, or Billy Strand. I didn't catch the name of the other guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also want to mention some some bands that I saw at Dundas West
Go
Fest,
for it.
actually.
Yeah, I was going to ask you.
There was a really cool one called Busk, who I actually just saw there was some drama in our local neighborhood Facebook group because there's a little stage set up in the annex now.
Right.
Where they're inviting people to come like perform. And I guess
excellent.
these two guys, Busk were on there. And some in this Facebook group, someone like took a picture and was like, who's ready to sue the BIA over this noise? And then so there was a whole debate about it. But anyway, so that was one band. Check them
were
out.
they particularly annoyed with Busk, or the idea of an outdoor stage in the annex?
I think a bit of both.
Right.
I think these guys were maybe particularly loud. Well, some were like, at least these guys are good. What's up with that one drummer dude who just comes out and does whatever? So people were getting real particular.
Right.
But I had also just seen a post earlier that day on Instagram that was like a call out for musicians to go there. So
Could I bring my ukulele?
Like, yeah, go
I think
apply.
I should.
Yeah,
I should. I'll just write songs where like the lyrics are just about shows that I'm doing and tickets that people can buy.
Yeah, full self promo.
I like it. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah. And then another band that I saw at Dundas West Fest was Dopamine Dream. Mm-hmm. They were playing on a rooftop wearing dresses and sun hats. So they were.
That does sound like a Dopamine Dream.
Yeah. And then another one was the Howling Gales. And
a bunch of women named Gales or some seafaring blokes?
Yeah, just some half woman, half wolves named Gale howling at the moon.
Very good. Okay, that sounds good. I guess get there on a full moon night and see what happens.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's what I've been up to.
Sounds like a full life. That sounded so bad. I'm actually jealous of your social life. You know that. Our cocktail hour guest is the fabulous Cathy Boyd. I don't think I have to say any more than this, other than the fact that Alicia has a new friend.
Yes, what a treat this was.
Yeah.
I'm sure everyone will hear my enthusiasm eventually.
A friendship is born here, ladies and gentlemen. Enjoy. And we're back for cocktail hour in our undisclosed location here in the mighty capital of Toronto. Alicia, I got a real treat for you today. Someone who deserves the title of rising star, if you will. We're joined today by Toronto's own Cathy Boyd. Hi, Cathy. How are you?
Hi. Thanks.
Welcome.
That's great. We always start this way, Cathy. Do you remember when you and I met? And just to jog your memory a little bit, it was like 7-8 years ago.
Yeah, well, you brought that up. The airport in Thunder Bay.
That's right. Before we turned the microphones on, I did mention this. We were at the I was competing in the Comedian of the North competition. You were the returning champion and therefore gave the headlining set of the night, as I remember it. 600 people in a nondescript ballroom in Thunder Bay.
Yeah. Yeah, the Da Vinci Center. Yeah. Great audience.
Yeah, over 2 nights. Yeah, is that sarcasm? I can't tell.
No, when I won, the year I won, it was great. I took Air Miles out there.
Right.
I don't even remember applying to go, and they gave us our accommodation. So in the end, I won $2,500. So it didn't cost me a thing.
Yeah. If Dan hadn't mentioned that, what's your memory of the first time you met Dan?
I don't know, but I don't remember meeting in Thunder Bay. But I know we've done shows together, and I always liked your comedy.
Oh, thank you.
And like I said, your voice is great on the podcast, and yeah, I like your jokes.
Thanks.
Yeah.
You're not so bad yourself.
Oh, thanks.
No, because Thunder Bay is super, super, super tiny. In contrast to your experience where you actually came away with a bit of money, I think I spent $800 to do a 5-minute set. Yeah, that's when I learned that comedy competitions are just no fun. No,
they're not.
No.
I'll agree with you there.
No, I don't think anybody who's ever been in a competition agrees with who wins. Even the winner would probably complain about the second and third place.
Yeah.
So, you have to take it with a grain of salt. But it was an eye-opening experience. And so I got to the airport early because I'm dumb. And I was just like hanging out. But like the airport in Thunder Bay is... If it was summer, you could have walked to the airport from where the hotels were.
Yeah. I remember a lot of people there, but yeah.
How far into your respective comedy careers was it that you were in this competition?
This is something I don't understand. Yeah, how long have you been doing comedy?
It was 8 years, April 16th, when I did my very first stand-up at Second City.
You've only been doing it for 8 years.
Yeah.
So a year less than me. And you've already achieved so much more.
I wouldn't say that.
Negative, Dan.
That's not. That's a pretty good benchmark, I think.
Yeah, that's awesome.
If you're doing better than me, you're doing pretty good, is my take on that.
Yeah.
So did you did your first set at Second City? Was that from like a course?
Course, yeah. Judy
cool.
Kroon was my instructor.
Right.
And she was really, really good. And the first night, we had to get up. Well, I did writing courses before that at Second City, but my friend it was over. And I said, what are you going to do? And she said, I'm going to go to stand up. And I said, oh, what the hell? I got nothing to do on Tuesday night. I'll go. And the first night we had to get up and talk about our day, 5 minutes about our day in front of a mic that wasn't even on. And I was scared to death. But that day, I went to catch the bus on my corner. And when it came, it lowered the platform for me. I know. Yeah.
See, that tells a story right there.
I know.
That feels like when I pull out my ID to get ID'd and they're like, oh, we don't need to check that.
No. Oh my God. I couldn't believe it. I'm looking. What? Anyway, so that's the story I told, and everybody burst out laughing, and I thought, this is fun. Yeah. Yeah.
And what was the impetus for you to take the writing courses in the first place?
Well, I couldn't get a job. I had moved from London, Ontario in 2010. I worked in human resources, and I got all kinds of interviews, phone interviews. Oh yeah, can you come in person? And I would go in person, and I knew right away I wasn't getting that job.
Right.
I can't prove ageism, but I was at one interview where they had a mirror like that, and I saw the lady roll her eyes when I walked in. And at another one, I went there. I was right on time, 1:00, and they said, "Can we help you?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm here for the interview." Oh, okay. Yeah, just a minute. Someone will be with you in a minute. So I got discouraged, and I just stopped looking. And so I didn't have anything to fill my time. I played tennis.
Yeah.
but there's only so much tennis you can play, right? So, yeah.
And then you decided on comedy, which is all notoriously welcoming of
Well, I've always liked to write. That's what I said. And I was writing for a local newspaper when I lived in London, The Londoner.
Right.
But I kind of had to write the story they gave me. I wanted to write funny, but, But I did interview Chris Noth.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. I have an amazing Chris Noth story.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Let's hear it.
Okay, so...
tease us like that.
Well, this is the wrong audience, but I was in Rome once, the Eternal City. I was there to see Roma versus Lazio, which is the two Rome teams play football. A friend of mine had won tickets to go see this. I was living in London at the time. And it was an amazing day. I won't bore you with this, but we got there like 3 hours beforehand. And the Olympic Stadium in Rome is like a big circle, right? I guess it's an oval. So the Lazio end was packed out and the Roma end was packed out. And there was only two people, me and my buddy, in the middle. And we just got to watch this stadium fill up and these fans sing songs to each other. Honestly, 3 hours went by in a heartbeat. And then who should be sitting 2 rows in front of us, right? Because it's just benches, right? It's like the cheap hockey arena in a small northern town. It's just benches. But Chris Noth himself. So I said to my buddy, who had no idea who Chris Noth was, I was like, that's Logan from Law and Order.
No, I think of him as Mr. Big.
I know you do.
Yeah. And I still do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fun.
That is fun. I used to love Sex in the City, and I used to love him. He used to make me laugh.
Oh,
there was that
God.
one time where Carrie had the really bad blowout birthday. No one showed up. And then he's outside in his limo, and he's got chocolates and balloons for her. And she's like, oh, you brought chocolates and balloons? He goes, oh, I had Raul get it. I didn't even get out of the car.
I know. Yeah.
That guy was my hero.
Loved it. Yeah.
So how did your first set actually go?
Wait a minute. Can we hear your Chris Noth story?
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Just completely
Well,
buried the lead there.
oh no, he came to London because his partner's sister was opening a tea house in London.
Right.
And so I knew he was coming. So I said to the Londoner, I'd like to be able to get in there. And they were looking for media. And this is a funny story about it, but I was in awe of him. And so it was all women, right?
Yeah.
And he came in and I had my camera and everything. And I had said I was from the Londoner and I take his picture, but I was so nervous. And then he said, you might want to take the lens cap off. And I went, oh, okay, sorry. And like he says, and you call yourself a reporter? And, oh, I know. He was kind of shitting me, I guess. But yeah.
Or was he flirting?
No, he wasn't
Sounds
flirting.
very
But the pictures I have of him, my couple girlfriends and me, the pictures, I'm just like, like the mouth open, the tongue's hanging out.
Yeah.
This was in London, so this is still when they were making the movie Sex and the City, and they actually brought the script, and they drew tickets, and this girl won the script and got to have lunch with them.
Wow.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Best day of her life, eh?
I keep posting the picture every once in a while.
Story's better. I had a more quality Noth experience.
Yeah.
So, speaking of not burying the lead, one of the big things that you've gotten to participate in, and that is just an absolute juggernaut of Canadian TV, is Canada's Got Talent.
Yeah. Yeah, the first year.
First year.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize it was the first year. That's
the
amazing.
first season, not the first season way back when they did just one season.
Yeah.
This is the first season. Now they're on their third season, but I was on the first season. And I hummed and hawed about it, but one of the comedians on Facebook who's been in the business forever, Glenn Foster, said, anybody gonna submit for this? And I thought, you know what? I'm going to send them a tape because I had a good tape. And so I just, it took forever because I'm really technically challenged when it comes to doing it. And if you don't get through the whole application, you have to start all over again.
Oh, no.
I did that like 3 times. I said, forget it. But then one more time, and I got it, and I sent it, and then I forgot about it. And I got a call one day, and when I get a call with an unknown, I pick up and I go, hello, right? And they said, hi, this is Jenny from Canada's Got Talent. Is Cathy Boyd there? And so then I said, just a minute, I'll get her. No. Anyway, she knew it was me, and she said, we got your application. Are you still interested? And I said, yeah, I was like, in that movie where that girl goes in the hall and freaks out and then goes back in and everything's okay. But yeah, so yeah, she was, and she called and we talked, and, it was really in depth. It was. Yeah.
Did she ask you like questions and stuff? Like, was it like a screening thing or?
Well, I do a joke now, like, I know why they took me. I'm not stupid, right? I wasn't born yesterday, right? Which is why they took me, I think. But you have to be funny too. So they asked a lot of that and about my kids. And they have this one question. I don't know if I'm allowed to. I'm over
yes,
it.
You are.
But they do ask this one question: what's the worst thing that's ever happened to you in your life? Yeah, yeah. So they dig. They dig, and then
that's how they get the tearjerkers.
I know.
No, that's where they figure out how good a writer you are, and if they can work with you. Can this person spin an Oliver Twist style tale?
Yeah. Yeah, so that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, they want that. They want good television, don't they? They want
they
a story.
do, and they get it, and I get it because
it's compelling.
Look at this Aaron Bell outlet. And it was so funny. Do you know Aaron?
Yes, I do. Do you want to hear a funny story about that?
Sure. Yeah.
The Lions Club. No, it's not the Lions Club. I think it's associated with the Lions Club of Oakville, and I should know the name of it because it's a wonderful charity. They train guide dogs in Oakville. And so they contacted me through someone, I forget who, and said, would you be able to do an online show? This was after the pandemic, but they were still very much under pandemic rules because of, the nature of the dogs and the people that they work with, right? So they put on a comedy show over Zoom, and they're like, oh, by the way, one of our members has a son, and we're going to let him headline it. Well, who am I to complain? I'm like, oh, has he got any tape? No, he's never done it before. And I'm like,
no way.
Okay. I'm like, great. I'll just turn my camera off and maybe I'll have a cup of coffee. I might have my dinner while this is going on. But it was him. And it was absolutely hilarious. It was completely off color for
He was amazing.
Yeah.
He's amazing. And I did a show with him. The first time I saw him, I was in Ottawa at Yucks.
Right.
And we were both on the show. And when he came back, and I went, oh my God, Aaron, that is so funny. You need to go on Canada's Got Talent. Because stupid me, I was on Canada's Got Talent. He said, oh, I'm in talks with America's Got Talent.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he's been on Kill Tony, and like I don't want to do this injustice, but I'm going to get this wrong and probably get myself canceled. But he's nonverbal, and he communicates his jokes through his cell phone.
Yeah.
But the speed of his responses are unbelievable, and the quality of his jokes are unbelievable.
I know.
So like more power to him.
Yeah. Really good. How did we get on that?
I don't know,
but you started because of the Canada's Got Talent.
Oh, yeah.
So would you call that a positive experience or a negative experience?
No, you know what? I had said earlier, we were speaking, and I had to be there at 7 a.m.
Oh, that doesn't sound very positive.
And I didn't get on stage till 10 o'clock that night.
Oh, wow.
So by that time, I just didn't care anymore. I just wanted to get it over with. But if you see, I posted on Facebook and it's pinned. But when I went out, I was like this, right? And you could see on the stage. But in my voice, it wasn't cracking or anything. But once I got going, because like you said, that huge audience, it was... the first laugh, and I was
then boom, you're in it.
Yeah, you're in it.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize the power of it until you have that TV credit.
Yeah, this is what I wanted to segue into. It's opened doors for you?
Yep.
No,
Yeah, for
brilliant.
sure. Well, not necessarily here in Canada, I must say, but I I get into almost every festival I apply to in the States. It's crazy.
Nice.
And they're really good festivals, and you meet, funny comedians. It's unbelievable, but I'd like to, we're all in this together, right? And so this festival's here in Canada I'd like to get into, but that's tougher. That's tougher. They don't
so
really look at it. Yeah. They will now because Sterling won $25,000 on Canada's Got Talent. Sterling Scott.
Oh, did he?
Yeah. He got the golden buzzer, and they never did that before. And the winning prize this year is $1 million. Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
That's nice to hear that Canada's putting some money into our talent. That's nice.
Yeah, for sure. There's a number. Travis Lindsay is also on that tonight.
Yeah, they have in effect been good at getting people exposure, right?
Yeah.
Travis, I met him once when I was on the East Coast. Very funny guy, really nice guy too. So I wish him every success.
But when I was on, we weren't allowed to tell anybody we were going to be on. I couldn't tell anybody until the night of the show that I was going to be on.
Oh, wow. Was
Because
that
they
hard?
don't tell you. And now they're promoting them. They're putting on reels, like giving them more prize money. Like it's a big deal now. And a lot more comedians anyway are applying to get on.
Are you thinking of maybe changing your name and reapplying? Now, you're like,
well, it's funny.
I'll bring a sleeping bag this time and a pillow, and I'll be ready for 10 o'clock at night.
No, they ask you to apply again. That's this, and you said the positives and negatives. I got 4 yeses. I couldn't have done better.
Right.
3 of the judges gave me a standing ovation.
Nice.
I forget. I think Trish Stratus didn't stand up, but anyway. I know you're going to edit that out, but like, what's her problem? But anyway,
Cathy's got beef with Trish Stratus.
But then you go downstairs, you're up. Oh my God, 4 yeses. And you go downstairs and the producer says, congratulations. But just because you got 4 yeses doesn't mean you're going to move forward.
Right.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, weird.
So then you're down again. And then they say, come on in here. We're going to measure you for clothes and shoes and all, and so you're up again, and then you get an email at Christmas.
No, we don't have clothes in your size.
yeah I didn't even care. Go ahead, check me. I don't want to know, but take the numbers down. But then then you get, I remember I was shopping for Christmas at Yorkdale Mall, and I got an email that said thanks for trying out, but we won't be moving forward. And I don't even know how I got home. I was just so upset. And then in January, I'm out walking on a nice day. I get a call. Would you be an alternate?
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I'm there. Yeah. In case someone got COVID, because it was during.
Oh, wow.
Right. But I talked to one other person, and they said that was going to and they said, they never, they quarantined. They were going to the final of this if it killed them. So, yeah. So that didn't happen. Nobody gets sick.
Damn. That's strange that they do it like that. They don't actually move on to a second round.
Yeah.
Or only a select few do.
Yeah.
I guess.
Because they had a number of comedians that were on and did really well.
Yeah.
But yeah, they only took 2. Yeah.
Did you get any one-on-one time with Howie Mandel or anything? Did he say anything?
Howie was really he's if you watch the tape that's on my Facebook page.
I did watch it just before
he
you came
said
over.
He said I found my calling.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I'm the same age as him. So he was all for me. And then when I almost left the stage before I got my votes, because I was just he said, wait, I know you got a car to start, but you got to stay here. So then I got the votes, and then I walked off, and they're still on the stage, and he's going, I love her. I love everything about her, the way she looks, her jokes. And I'm going, oh my God.
He's going to ask you on a date?
So, yeah.
He's married. He probably will. But that's part of experience and getting to experience these things. Do you think the next time something like this happens to you, and it will, that you'll be able to take the ride, the highs and lows
Oh,
won't
yeah.
get as carried away with it, right?
Yeah.
Well, I love getting carried away myself. I say that as someone who loves the highs.
Well, the highs are so high, right?
Yeah.
And then you're down again. And so then when they said, well, would you be an alternate? And then you wait and you wait and you wait and you never hear.
You didn't think to get a list of the people that were ahead of you? And
Oh, I knew who
see,
was
how
on.
badly do you want this dream, Cathy? That's the question.
I knew how. I even talked to that person that went one of the, and they said, no, I'm not leaving the house. I met so many talented people there, though, I tell you. Oh, yeah. And it was in the more mature of the crowd that were auditioning, we all gravitated towards one another.
Right.
Yeah. So met some really talented people. I'm thinking, I tell jokes. Why am I here? These people were amazing talents. Like Kelly Loader. Kelly went to the finals. She's a singer from Newfoundland. Amazing. It was just, I felt like a fraud. But
So were you able to watch all the other auditions? Or some of them? Or?
No. We were in a big ballroom downstairs, and then you could see when they came back if they had,
Oh, brutal.
if they did well. And
Were you like, I knew it. I knew you.
No,
I could just
God.
tell from watching you back here.
Oh, it was like, no. And my daughter was in the audience. She came up with me.
Nice.
She just came up to stay in the hotel and everything. But she was in the audience and she's texting me, Mom, the judges are being really mean to the contestants. I'm going, oh my God. And I hadn't been up yet. So I was expecting the worst for sure.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
So when you were on Canada's Got Talent, you had been doing comedy for about 5 years, I think you said?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is something that I think you and Dan maybe have in common, because Dan also started a bit later as well.
In life?
Yes, in life.
Yeah.
And it seems like he was pretty much right off the bat pretty good at it. Did you have a similar type of experience? Because 5 years is pretty short amount of time for comedy.
You know what? What are you laughing at?
I'm laughing at the idea because if you thought I was good at it from the off, it's because I was faking it to make it. You know what I mean? Like, you're just inside. You're completely terrified the first 100 times you do it. I don't know. Maybe your experience was different, Cathy.
Oh no, I went from, oh my God, why am I doing this, to, oh my God, when is it my turn? Like, I remember when that kind of twist came. I just couldn't wait to get up there.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. See, I had the impatience from the off. I was like, I'll take bullet. Let me get up and do my thing. But then, like, when you're at crappy open mics, if there's going to be an audience, usually there's a bigger audience by the end. So I was like, I had to learn patience to try and get where I felt was a better spot. But now I'll take bullet every time because I want to know if my jokes work from bullet. You know what I mean? Like,
Yes, I don't like bullet. I don't like bullet.
Yeah,
and
of
I
course.
hate open mics. I don't mean to be cruel, but I hate them because it's usually a room full of comics and they're working on their stuff and they're not interested in what you have to say, right? And by the time I get on, usually it's the end of the night, they're all gone. Nobody will listen to my jokes anyway.
Yeah.
So I kind of stayed away from them, and I know people use them to work on their material, but I was kind of, I don't do reels, but I would write the joke out, with a background and see if it worked. And if people posted, or would laugh, I would do it on Facebook like that. But you know what? I always progressed, and that's what I noticed. And that gives you a lot of confidence. My first year, I went to Prove Your Comic at Absolute.
okay.
And I made it the first week, but then, I was 5 out of 5 of us, and I can tell you who they were, and they're all really good comics, but never mind. But I biked home because I used to bike everywhere, and I was in tears. I just in tears. What do I have to do? So the next year,
That's interesting pressure.
I got on it, and I made it to the finals. But again, it went guy, girl, right? Whatever. It was what it was. But still progression. And then with the very first festival I applied for, I got in. And I thought, what? And I've only been doing, at the time, it was maybe a year and a half in. Oh, wow. And it was the main comedy festival. And I had 10 minutes of material. I had to go there and they gave me 25 minutes. I know.
Whoa.
Crazy. But it was great. So each year, like you say, if you progress and it gives you confidence, you know. But I'm getting a little stagnant now. I think I have to, you know, it's like
Find some new challenges.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that when you're starting out, maybe you don't notice it, but it's really the things you do off stage, that matter. If you're only getting 5 minutes worth of stage time each night, curating those jokes, listening to them, working on them, being willing to try them a different way in a different order the next night is what really, you know, helps with the progression. I find that open mics now. And I will do the odd one I've talked about on this podcast before if I have a new joke to work on. But most of them, you know, they're a great place to make friends. They're not a great place to hear if an audience likes your jokes or not, right? But they served a purpose starting out when it was all about just getting stage time. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I'm a little older than you. And
not everybody gets to say that.
Yeah, I know. I think that's why you had me on, so you wouldn't be the oldest in the room.
That was Alicia's idea.
But I don't tend to hang around at mics. I don't get me wrong. I've made wonderful friends in comedy, and yeah, some of them are producers, and they'll put you on their shows, and it's great, right? But I don't tend to hang out. Yeah.
Nor I have a day job. I can't.
Well,
for now, I can't really hang out, you know,
it's
the evenings, but
yeah,
that's what Saturdays are for.
I wish I don't know. It's difficult because when I do the corner, it's so much fun, and I love all those comics that do the show, but you know, I'm not going to hang out with them after the show, right?
You're not on the dumpster out back rolling spliffs for the boys, Kath? Come on now. Come on.
No, you have to edit that. I love those guys, and I love that show. I love doing it. But, yeah, no, I go outside and I pass out business cards to the audience and say, please follow me on Instagram.
That's a great idea.
Because that's how I try to get followers.
Yeah.
Because I don't necessarily do a lot of reels and stuff.
Right, right. I like that. It's probably more organic.
Yeah.
If they then
they
at
always
the card
take
and
it, and they always say that some nights I do well. Some nights I pass out a lot of cards and I don't get anybody. But
that's what we need, Alicia, for the podcast. We need cards.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's something we can work on.
I'll let you handle that.
Very kind. Very kind.
But Dan alluded to this. I did ask him to invite you on to this podcast of ours because I've seen you a few times headlining at a few shows over the past couple years, and I think you're one of like the most consistently funny comics I've seen. And as I was like thinking about what we were going to ask and having you on and everything, I kind of realized that you're one of my favorite comics right now, I think. And sorry, I just want to say this one story. So when I see you, it reminds me of the story that I heard on a podcast. I think it was Pete Holmes and Nick Kroll were talking about Chelsea Peretti, about her doing a show when none of them were kind of as well known as they are now, and someone came in and bumped her, like maybe it was like Dave Chappelle or some like huge person came on, like absolutely killed, destroyed. The audience was like going crazy or whatever, and then Chelsea Peretti went on right after, and instead of kind of like using that energy and that momentum, they said that she just kind of like brought the audience completely down and just kind of like reset and kind of made them meet her at her energy level instead. And I feel like that's something that you have the ability to do, where you just kind of like are able to kind of like control the audience in that kind of way, where it always feels like they're kind of like on the edge of their seat, like leaning in, like, what are you going to say next? And then you also work with like the dry humor and the misdirection. So it's just like that perfect kind of combination. But is that something that you think comes naturally to you?
You get me.
Yeah,
you
exactly.
Get me.
I do.
Totally.
I get you. Absolutely.
I see they are taking it in. They're looking up. And, you know, it's funny. You don't often get a huge laugh or whatever. So the other good thing about handing out cards after a show is they'll tell you how much they enjoyed the show.
Yeah.
And one night at Yucks, someone texted me and said, "Oh my God, my friends and I were there. You're so funny. Can we buy you a drink?" But I had the second show. So I just laughed it off and thought, "Oh, I can't go out for a drink. That's crazy." But the next day, I responded to the Instagram message, and it was one of the ladies on the professional hockey league here, and
Oh, wow.
I know.
Awesome.
So I said, I wish I had gone for a drink with you guys.
Oh, no.
Thanks for coming to the show. And since then, they're a couple of them joined me on Instagram. Yeah,
That's awesome.
but you don't know when
Yeah.
until. This is why I hand out cards too. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
you're so
get the
funny.
feedback.
Yeah. I need constant stroking.
Yeah.
I do, totally.
Oh, and what do you do? I own a comedy club in New York. Oh,
Wouldn't that be cool? So,
when it comes to alcohol, I don't see you, Cathy, as a big drinker. Maybe someone who enjoys a drink now and again. Do you have any rules, hard, fast, or loose, about drinking and performing?
well, I like Chardonnay. I won't lie about it.
Yeah.
I like Chardonnay.
You like a Chardonnay, but would you imbibe beforehand? Or is it does not matter to you? Do you not have any rules about this kind of thing?
Well, no, I don't. If I'm at the club and I'm not on until last, or if I have time, I'll have a glass of wine before I go up, and I have another one when I come off. But no, I don't
Or two,
ever
depending
get.
how the show
I
goes.
don't ever get loaded before I do, because
Just a glass of wine in the evening.
I have had a couple where I've gone up and right in the middle of my joke, I forgot what I was going to say. But I've covered that up now, because I tell people that I think Alzheimer's is going to be a really smooth transition for me. And that seems to take care of it. And then it'll come back to me.
Yeah, completely.
Yeah.
I've done that. I've gone on tangents and then forgotten where I was. And there's usually some really nice audience member, always a female, who would be like, "Oh, you were talking about X." And it's like, "Oh,
Yeah.
thank you."
Yeah. Yeah. That's always good.
Is that the kind of audience participation you like?
No, I like them to clap and make lots of laughter as well. Yeah, that's I at my age, I probably need a spotter in the audience, someone to keep me on track, cue cards or something and the like, right? Hey, you've been traveling recently. You've taken your act on the road. You alluded to this earlier, that the Canada's Got Talent was opening doors for you, but you've been across the Atlantic. What? Because I see the posts on Instagram and Facebook. You were in the east coast of this very country, the Maritime provinces.
Yeah.
With the family, but doing lots of shows.
Yeah. Just my husband and I.
Oh.
But that came about because we were supposed to go to Amsterdam last year, and I was going to do some comedy in English there. And he broke his leg, so that put the kibosh to that.
Men, eh?
I know. He broke it speed skating. He's a speed skater.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Was that like, "Oh, I don't want to go on that trip. I'm going to take up speed skating"?
Yeah. I know. Yeah, I was built for comfort. He was built for speed. But anyway, so this year, my daughter, she's very generous, and she gave us, she said, "Go on a trip," and so I bought these tickets to see Rafa Nadal in Barcelona.
Oh, right.
That's why I wanted to go, to say goodbye. And
is this his last year?
he's going to retire.
Right,
Yeah.
he's announced
and
that.
this is a good way for him to do it. He played the first match, he won. It was I thought the stadium was going to implode. People were so happy to see him. And then saw him the next day, and he lost, but it was fine. Then he went to Madrid. He did well. Now he's going to be in Rome starting next week. But while I said I Googled comedy in English in Spain, and I did 2 shows in Barcelona, and I did 3 in Madrid. Yeah, I got paid in euros.
Wow.
Yeah, and they were fun. And I met some really, really talented comics. Honest to God, there was one lady. She was an opera singer. Yeah, and she combined it with comedy, and she did a song in opera, Italian. She'd sing it, and then she'd translate it in English and say the most obscure things you can imagine, like "bitch, get out of here" and stuff like that. So it was so funny. Yeah, what a voice! Wow. What a voice! Yeah.
What were the audiences like there?
They were good. They were from everywhere. One night, the Friday night show I did, there was a young girl from Toronto. So yeah, we bonded. Nice. But they're from England. They're from
so it's a lot of expats, maybe people.
Yeah,
who
a lot
there.
of expats. Yeah.
I would have thought a lot of people maybe trying to work on their English as well.
Some of them didn't quite get the jokes. They didn't translate. Yeah.
But when you're like, well, when your snow brush breaks in half in January, I can understand why they wouldn't. They don't got that unless you're in the mountains. Right?
Yeah. No, that was fun.
Is that the first time you've been in Spain?
Yeah, first.
Yeah. Liked it?
Until I got my wallet stolen. Yeah, it was great.
So you told us this before we started, but you got the wallet stolen in Madrid. Yeah, I had mine stolen in Barcelona when I first went over there as a backpacker. And I didn't know anybody in the hostel that we were staying at or anyone that I've subsequently met who's been to Barcelona who didn't have something stolen.
Yeah, you're a statistic. And they want you to report it, but I think they only want you to report it so they can say the numbers. Apparently, there are so many travelers there now that because they didn't get out during COVID, they hate tourists. This is what I've heard.
Right.
They're tired of them. They don't want them to be there. And this is a perfect way to get them to stop going, to have their wallets stolen, right? Yeah.
Other than the States, is that was that your first international shows that you've done?
Yeah, I think so. I go to the States a lot. Yeah. And that was the first international, so now I'm an international comedian.
Fun.
I gotta get a copy of that comedy club logo on the bottom of the posters.
Look at me.
Sure. Yeah. That's great. Do you have a great love of travel?
I love going to the festivals. Some of them are so good.
And the comedy festivals,
yeah.
Well,
and some of the cities. I went to San Luis Obispo in California.
Never even heard of it.
I know. You should. SLO, the festival is called. And beautiful part of California. Beautiful weather, scenery. You could go hiking. You can do everything. Little shops. And the festival was amazing. I would recommend it to anyone. And I've been to Billings, Montana, Big Sky, Montana Festival. It's just, Jersey City Festival. You wouldn't think, right? And I got the best tape ever, and that tape's helped me get into a lot of other festivals.
That's a big game changer. The moment you get a decent tape of yourself performing, and two things: it's not easy to do because it's really hard to mic the audience and get a true representation, audio wise, of what happened in the room. Onto the tape, right?
Yeah.
But the moment, you don't have anything to send producers or people that you don't bump into at comedy shows until you have a tape. I don't think the kids call it a tape anymore, Alicia. Unless you have a link.
What is it called? A reel or some 5-minute video. 5-minute video.
Yeah. Just something that shows them that you know what you're doing. Right?
And this one's
and it
really
does
good.
Open up. Yeah. And it's a great feeling too when someone you send a tape to writes back and says, "Yeah, I'd love to have you on," or I'm all booked up, but I really love that joke. Like the fact that they took time to watch it always meant something to me.
Yeah.
For all the producers listening.
Are these festivals that you're in? Are you just applying for them and submitting yourself, or is someone helping you book?
No, I do. You're pretty well on your own when you're doing that.
Yeah. Wow.
Although. Some of them will ask if you have an agent or a manager or something, and I am listed with an agency, but I don't want to act. I really don't want to act.
Yeah.
Have you tried any acting?
Yeah,
Have you done because a lot of comedians obviously end up in background acting or doing spots.
I know.
There's a lot of filming going on here in Toronto.
Yeah. Yeah, I see. One of them, maybe many of them, have been in Law and Order Toronto, right? But and and that show with DJ Demers. That's funny. And I've seen a lot of comedians on
I don't know that one.
Play It Again, I think it's called. It's on CBC. Yeah, it's cute.
It's really funny, and plug. And I've seen a lot of comics on there and commercials. Like my husband and I will be watching during the tennis, and they're in these major commercials.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, what they make for that, right?
Honestly, I don't think you can sell a product in Canada if Joey Harlem's not in it.
I've seen Joey in a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, he does a lot of that stuff. He's a great guy too.
Yeah.
He was doing these video sketches that I thought were really, really funny. Jack, during the pandemic, right? About like empty restaurants and stuff like that. Yeah, that's just an aside.
The show's called One More Time. I just want to get
it's
it right.
about a second-hand sports equipment store. Yeah,
it's really cute.
Yeah, it's funny. Mm-hmm. Brian Hatt was on it. You know Brian from Yucks?
Oh, I do know Brian.
Yeah,
I've
Brian
worked with
was
him.
on it.
Oh,
Yeah,
excellent.
He was very funny.
I can imagine. I'll have to give it a look.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll start auditioning myself.
Yeah.
Be an angry football player looking for gloves or something. I don't know.
When you are at the festivals, is that a similar experience to the other comics there, that they are also submitting themselves, or is it a bit of a different system if you're with comics in the States?
No, the same.
It's all the
same rules apply. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you send a 5-minute reel, and I think they also try to. I'm not saying because I'm an older woman and maybe diversity pick or whatever, but the reel is really good. There was a good audience at this show, and everything landed. It was amazing. Like I hate watching videos of myself, but I do watch this one when I go to send it. I think that was so solid.
Yeah.
But then sometimes if you don't get the best of the fest, those people get to perform in front of close to 1,000 people. Wow. And that's my aim. And I haven't really, I got to the finals in this Jersey City one.
Right.
But man, it's tough to do that because so many good comics out there. Yeah. Yeah. That's my goal. And plus I'm seeing, I'm getting around. I get around.
Yeah. No, it's good. Like the States is such a big market. It's so good to get there and put yourself up against a bigger audience, see where you really stack up, and see how many great comics there are out there, right?
It's funny. It's hard too because I did one in Portland. I did it was a competition. I didn't realize it when I did, but I grew up in South Portland, so I went to visit family, which helps. It helps to have family everywhere. I have a daughter near Ottawa. I have another one in St. John, New Brunswick, and my family in Maine. So, and I made it to the finals, but I wasn't going back there in a couple of weeks. No. Right? So sometimes, it doesn't really help, but I did do that one and I did really well. And the panel was all these guys and they said, I can't believe you're not on TV already, because they really, really liked it. But, maybe in Canada it's tougher. I don't know.
It's just smaller. There's less opportunity, right? Like, I think in the States, like local broadcasters are still huge, right? So you could have local talent getting exposure to 8 million people in Detroit on a weekend or whatever. So yeah, like the size difference is just there. It's just absolutely massive, and there's just not that many outlets in Canada.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it seems like at least festivals, they like to bring American comics on more than
JFL. But
yeah. But JFL 42 used to be, when it first started off, it was really good for that. I found having like local acts, at least in the 42.
I was in the 42 just at the club, and they didn't really advertise a lot, but I mean, you got paid and you got that credit, right?
Yeah.
But it wasn't like getting to Montreal or anything like that. Yeah.
I used to love well, I shouldn't say anything like that kind of way, but the first few years of JFL 42, I loved it. I think that's such a great idea and such a great festival. I think it got canceled this year, which is a real bummer.
I don't know if 42 is going on or not.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they've said anything about it yet.
Well, JFL is in administration, I guess. They've called in the creditors or creditor protection or whatever it's called. But I imagine someone's got to buy that asset. You would have thought the tape library, there's that word tape again. You would have thought the tape library was worth a lot of money.
I don't know.
Are you saying you're not checking at the back of the couch for a few pennies to try and put together a bid?
Yeah, right. I'll get on that.
I don't know. I think that that would be great. That'd be great. You should take over JFL.
I
Cathy.
thought Howie had something to do with it.
Hey, I thought his consortium bought it. So
yeah.
I
So
don't
that
know.
surprises me.
But that's the pandemic too, right? Like if your main source of income is a huge festival and you lose that, I think maybe 2 years in a row, that's gonna affect the bottom line. You either got to be really nimble and figure out some new revenue sources. I don't know. I didn't see any T-shirts or anything. You know.
You watch Hacks? Have you heard of Hacks? And they and it's just started up again this season, third season. Yeah. And the first show was that they were at JFL in Montreal.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. I'm excited. I haven't watched the new episodes yet. I love that show.
I love it. I love her. She's so smart. Jean Smart.
Jean Smart.
She's funny. Yeah.
Yeah, they have such good chemistry, those two. And what a good character.
She's amazing, right?
Should I just leave so you guys can bond over your favorite shows? Where do you find the time to have a favorite show is my question.
Oh, my God. Yeah.
What would you say are some of your comedy influences, if that's one of your shows right now? Were you always into comedy, like growing up and everything like that?
Well, my high school friends, you know how people say that. Oh, my God. Because when I did a festival in Maine in Bethel, Maine, afterwards they came out and I had a lot of family members and my high school friends. Oh, she was always so funny. She was funny. And I'm going, oh, my God. Like... Really? But anyway, yeah. And then I had a bunch of kids. I wasn't so funny but I've always found things funny. I love people that have a good sense of humor. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But I always loved Woody Allen movies. I know that's probably not, apropos
anymore, right?
But
I think the word is problematic.
Yeah. Well, you can't. You rewatch his movies even now. They're old, and I still laugh my head off at these stupid remarks. Whereas before when he first came out, I'm Googling everything. What the hell is he talking about?
Right.
But I always liked him, and George Carlin, come on, and Stephen Wright was Bob Newhart. Like, I'm really showing my age, but... All funny. And Seinfeld. I can
see a little bit of the pacing and monotone's not the right word, but that cadence and the delivery, the overall delivery from Bob Newhart and what you do. Yeah. Newhart was great. He almost looked like he didn't want to be there.
I know.
That to me is amazing. Yeah. Like, let's get through this, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah.
So funny. And then he came back, in Elf, right? And so funny then. It's a whole new audience and stuff. Yeah.
That's amazing. My favorite Bob Newhart quote of all time was that he was talking about when Vegas was run by the mob. And he goes, say what you want about the boys. They knew how to run a casino. He's just such a mild-mannered guy. You wouldn't think he'd have any truck with the mob, but there you go. Cathy, anything big on the horizon that we want to promote and tell our audience about?
Big? I don't know. I've got a website.
Okay.
Boydsoflondon.com.
Oh, that's brilliant. Has that been around for a while? Because
we used to live in London, Ontario. Right. And we've always been the Boyds.
The Boyds of London.
But it's boydsoflondon.com. My email is boydsoflondon@simpatico.ca. Honestly, when you get on the phone with someone and that you have to go through that and every letter and, B for boy, O for, I got to change it up. But yeah, that's where you can find all my shows coming up. I got some big ones coming up.
It's like Lloyd's of London. So there's two L's at the beginning? No, I'll spell it out for you.
Yeah.
And people can follow you on Instagram. Is that just Cathy Boyd?
Yeah, it's Cathy Boyd, but the Instagram handle is can_am_Cathy.
Nice.
And I'm going to have an article, just with those small articles on Toronto Guardian, where they've been talking to comedians. That's coming out on May 16th.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I'll post it on my Facebook.
That's great.
Cool.
That's great. So get over there. All your tickets, all the shows that you're doing, and how to get tickets are all listed on the website.
Yeah.
Check out Cathy Boyd. You won't regret it. Honestly, I'm not saying this because you're here and I feel the need to inflate your ego at all. I mean, the interview's almost over. I don't need to talk to you ever again. But when you came out to the Mainway Comedy in Burlington, you absolutely turned that out. That was one of the best headlining sets we've had in there, and we've been doing that show once a month for like 2.5 years. You had them riveted, and it was amazing to see. I was in
a
the
fun
back
show.
throwing punches, like kicking every punchline. I'm like, this is great. Yeah, and we don't have a hard time selling tickets to that one. But because it's a brewery and it's, the big ceilings, you got to have someone who can really grab people because it just feels so spacious. And you did that, and probably, as I say, one of the best sets we've had in there.
Well, it was one of the funnest shows I've done, and I was telling Alicia before you showed up that that was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed myself.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, thanks for coming out and letting us expose what you do to our audience and vice versa.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me. It was fun.
I'm sure I'll see you again at a show soon.
I hope so.
Like coffee on Saturdays is a regular thing now or something. So there you have it, Alicia and her budding friendship with Cathy Boyd. Yeah, this is why I now hang out with Tom Bodner without telling you. We go and sit in parks and drink cans of ale on hot summer nights, and we don't invite you because you're stealing people.
I don't know if it's friendship so much as parasocial relationship, but we'll see.
You were, There's a certain fan and icon relationship feel to that. But here we are in a segment we like to call "Where You Been," and
wait, no, that's not correct.
Sorry, that is not correct.
Dan and Alicia go forth.
Here we are in a segment called Dan and Alicia Go Forth. And we've been places, haven't we? We've been out a couple times together, all to the same place.
Yes. We're so exciting. We can only go to one place.
That's it. We're locked in. It's almost like we're under contract. It's the studio system.
And it's almost like we're forced to speak about it on this podcast because we mention them so often. This is almost to the point where I feel that we should be sponsored by Levity Comedy Club and Lounge. Well, you were down one Sunday recording the podcast at the Judge, and then I had to drop you off at Levity early at 3 p.m. so that you could help set up for what was it exactly? It was a very special fundraiser show produced by Lindsay McCracken, a familiar face to anyone who's been to Levity before.
Yes.
But normally she's behind the bar. This time she was producing a show for her beloved pet Dexter, who passed away unfortunately last year.
Yeah. So those who don't know, Lindsay is the head bartender and a good friend of ours.
Yes.
And also the wife
friend
of Patrick, who runs Levity, and we'll get into all of that at another time. It was a really good evening, though. I hope Lindsay does more producing. I think that would be great use of her talent.
Yeah, she did a great job.
Fantastic. And I don't there was a lot of people on the show, but if I could just highlight one, and I would wish we had time to talk about everybody, but go and see Ted Morris. Ted Morris is just one of those. I feel like if you were in any situation and you were sat talking to Ted Morris, you would just not be... You couldn't wait to tell somebody else about the afternoon you had. This guy is absolutely hilarious. He comes off as the sweetest man, but by appearance, but he's actually quite vicious and lovable all at the same time. So go and see Ted. Sam Norton was on the show. He deserves praise as well. Yes. Our good friends Derek, Holly, and Rebecca Binns.
And Jason Allen.
Jason Allen, of course. Yeah, there's that absolutely stacked lineup, and they raised over $1,500, didn't they?
Yeah, for some local animal charities.
Excellent.
And the SPCA, I think it was Bark at the Moon as well, and Ladybird Sanctuary.
Oh, very nice. Everybody's getting a little boost this month.
I hope I got this correct.
Yeah, if not, angrily write us a letter and we'll correct it in a future pod. And of course, then we were back. I was there all weekend. I got to host this weekend, the Friday and Saturday. Chris Robinson headlined. James Cummins was the middle. And it was fantastic to be at the home club for a weekend. Yes. I walked both nights from my house and then regretted
Stumbled?
it.
Or
it is downhill. No, I took the bus home. There was no. That's uphill. That's to the escarpment. No, that's how people get lost in the woods. Those small little section of woods that exists along the side of the mountain.
Oh, good to note.
Yeah.
Actually, that night I ended up scooting my friend Daisy and I, who came to the show with me. We came
Thomas's
on the Saturday.
Wife and, and an artist in her own right. Yeah.
Yes, who hopefully will convince to come on this show shortly as well.
Yeah.
And then my other dear friend Kaylee also was at the show. And we were sat right up at the front, which was a first for me, honestly. And that was an interesting angle to be at.
You were at the side.
Yes, at the side.
Yeah, SL1 when I used to work there. That stage left one.
Ooh, yeah. It was a whole new world for me over there.
Yeah.
But anyways, Daisy and I ended up renting some of those scooters, and we scooted over to the GO station, and it was a lot of fun. The first turn I took, though, I was convinced I was going to bail, but I managed.
Luckily, I've avoided the urge to get slightly happy and decide to go hurtling down one of those things.
They go really fast.
I know. I'm thinking of taking one down the mountain one time just to see if I can reach terminal velocity.
Recommend.
No, I have no business on one of those scooters. That only ends one way, with me falling into the road, being run over by a city bus.
Yeah, if you do it, tell me about it so I can film it. I want a viral clip.
Well, a future Dan and Alicia go forth. Would you like to set fire to me at the same time, just to add to the drama?
Dan and Alicia go forth, Jackass edition.
That's on that note.
Yeah. Stay tuned.
Please send your suggestions for ways that we can injure Dan. Because we would never put you through that, Alicia. You're not that dumb. Anyways, anything for the ratings, I say. Yes. Thank you very much for listening. That's our show for this week. Alicia, where would people find us if not on Spotify, listening to the pod?
Almost There CA on Instagram.
Yes.
I think I am having a brain fart, but I'm almost positive.
We're
That's
away
it.
from 10 episodes. I swear to you, I'll have this down cold if I have to write it out on the wall.
Yes.
In my own blood. Anyways,
but follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Please do.
Yes.
Thanks, everyone. We'll see you for episode 9 real soon.
Ta-ta.